I know someone who was fired for putting Janet Jackson, when she was on Virgin, on the radio in the Midwest early because we were dedicated to those release dates and the fact of the impact that you wanted. Because if you give it to somebody in Minnesota, the guy in Chicago ain't got it, or that kind of stuff. And so, like I said, they'd want to know who. You talk about the White House leaks. Okay, who leaked that record?
And what was your favorite part of being a promotion man?
Favorite part of being a promotion man, if I always thought of it, the job as more of a paycheck for me. If I heard a song and I really liked it, I couldn't wait for people like you to hear it, the decision makers as to what went on the radio station. And sometimes I would jump the gun. I couldn't wait till Monday. I would call you up and say, Lydia, I just listened to a song called More Bounce the Ounce by a group from Dayton, Ohio. They call themselves Zap. I know it's 5 days early. I got to bring this over to the radio station now.
Yes.
And More Bounce the Ounce, low rider anthem, and this very day, if you drop that record on a turntable in the club, people will come running out the bathroom to get on the dance floor.
Crazy.
Yeah, so I loved doing what I did, and I wanted as many people as possible to hear what I heard. And the only way to do that was to make sure that you were aware of the records and
Stephen
people
had
at KD
balls.
and KGLH. Huh?
Stephen had balls.
Yeah.
I know someone who was fired for putting Janet Jackson, when she was on Virgin, on the radio in the Midwest early because we were dedicated to those release dates and the fact of the impact that you wanted. Because if you give it to somebody in Minnesota, the guy in Chicago ain't got it, or that kind of stuff. And so, like I said, they'd want to know who. You talk about the White House leaks. Okay, who leaked that record?
And sometimes, as you're saying that, sometimes records would come in the mail before you guys were ready to, and that would piss you guys off because I would play. I got this in the radio. I mean, in the mailbox. I was so eager to open my mail every morning because I knew something good was going to come through.
Right.
You know what, Lydia? You were such a different music director. Our guys, we're sitting up here. Have you listened to it yet? Nah. Okay, but I'm gonna get to it. I mean, am I right?
Right.
The excitements that Steve and put on them is so completely different from the everyday function of the job. He was doing his job. You were doing your job, but that was not what was going on out there in all places.
I love
because
music.
if they went to the mailbox, there better be a check. Not the record. They didn't care about the record.
I couldn't wait to open the mail because I was like, something's gonna come. Somebody forgot something, and that to me was like Christmas. Every day that I opened the mail and there was a new record in there, I would play it. I probably listened to music 4 to 5 times a week. I mean, I would get the stack that would come from all the promotion guys coming in on Monday or Tuesday or whenever it was. But I listened to as much music as I could because for me, and having worked in records, understanding the pain that people go through to get their records, to get it printed, and then the record company, a lot of the records they weren't pushing, that the manager or the act, or if you weren't at the front of the line, we had a lot of records at Casablanca that didn't really see the light of day. I mean, they all went out, but they didn't have the same push as, a Donna Summer or Village People.
Or George.
Yeah. So the thing that used to drive me crazy, because I never experienced that in New York. Like, we never had record people who came in when I worked at BLS. who came in and said, "You don't play my record, I'm gonna get fired. I can't feed my family." But it was like a story out here, like, and I remember telling, I remember someone. I won't name names, but they came in and said, "You know, I got to pay my bills. I can't. If I don't do this, I'm gonna get fired." I said, "Okay." And it was a dog of a record. It wasn't even. It was like, "Okay, we're gonna do you the solid, but this record is horrible." And 2 weeks later, the person came back. I said, "Then you got to find a new job."
Mm.
And they went. That person went to Hal Jackson, crying, and I happened to come in right on the monologue. And I just said, "You are banned from here for the next month."
Wow.
Think about what you just did.
Yeah.
You are being abusive. But, you know, the reason why I had asked you about, you know, what manual you had as a promotion person, because that's a job that you learn on the fly.
But see, like with myself, I had pretty good mentors in Ronnie Jones and Vernell Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
and then Wendell Bates.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have been able to find a radio station without Wendell. And see, he was working for Capitol. I was working for EMI.
Mm-hmm.
And so all the Melba, Freddie Jackson, all that kind of stuff would have been at EMI. And so I worked there for less than a year, and they decided to move all black music back over to Capitol. So that meant, and Ronnie went back over to Capitol, and I went back to the sales office and I asked for my job back because I told them I didn't take this promotion, you know, just to be out on the street. So I was out of a job for 3 hours and 25 years. I literally just closed out the Melba record in Denver. And so I got back that night, and that morning...
Which Melba Moore record was it?
You keep asking me
Okay,
names.
never mind. Okay. It was Melba Moore.
Yeah, it was Melba.
Okay.
And so at 9 o'clock in the morning, Ronnie calls me and says, "Hey man, it's over." I said, "Yeah, I know, I closed everything out." He said, No, it's over." I quickly got dressed and ran right to the LA sales office, and I got my old job back, and that allowed me to remain there until Wendell left, and then I took the job at Capitol.
I remember those days.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you know, the sweetest person in the world, and like I said, if I didn't have him there guiding me and also just showing me what to do and how to do it, because I would have been just clumsy. Like you said, there's nobody there for you. You would. I wasn't as clumsy as I would have been.
As you could have been, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this brings me to another question. Who were your biggest role models in the record business, either a role model or a mentor, that really taught you not just the ropes of that, but just taught you about life and about being?
Well, for me, I mentioned his name before, Michael Johnson, who helped me get the job at Record Merch, who helped me get the job at Warner Brothers. And what I did not mention, I left Warner Brothers and went to Polygram. And
who did you work for?
I worked for Ed Eckstein.
Oh my God!
And I replaced Michael Johnson
You just kept
as the National Director of Promotion and Marketing for Ed's label Wing,
Wow.
home of Tony and Vanessa Williams. So Michael Johnson, Michael L. Johnson, as he calls himself on Facebook.
The Michael.
The
Yes.
Michael, yes. He's the main reason why I'm sitting in this sofa right now talking to Lydia and Nicole. And I also had Tom Draper, Cortez Thompson. Those are the two people I worked for at Warner Brothers. And Ernie Singleton and Ray Harris. And at Polygram, Wayman Jones. Because initially, when I went to Polygram, I worked for Mercury Records. Then I segued over to Wing.
Mm.
And Mercury, we had success with the Barkays and Third World and other acts. So anyway, those years, no matter what label I was working for, those were the best years of my life.
Wow.
I loved doing what I did.
I know you did.
Yes.
And that's why I love seeing you every week. And I don't know if you remember, but I used to make you guys muffins and
I remember, of course.
and bring you stuff because I loved you guys. I also,
Yes.
going back to getting beat up, I
Right.
I knew how beat up you guys got.
Right.
So that it's a thankless job, and
Right.
I want to mention that it really is a thankless job. So for you to love your job,
Right.
when a lot of times you have flack coming from the artists or the managers or whoever, you know, it you gotta love it, because it's not worth the money to
Right.
get that abuse.
Right.
You know, not worth it at all. And who you mentioned Wendell was a big.
Wendell was quintessential to everything I did.
Wow.
You know, because he showed me right. I can't say he didn't show me wrong. I mean, but the main thing is we had a promotional society here.
Yes.
That Wendell and Jim Blevins, Lou Wills, I'm not sure.
Joe Morrow.
Joe Morrow,
Mm-hmm.
yes, all the people involved. And so I took from everybody. But the main thing I took was that I didn't want to be in promotions long. And under Ronnie, I thought I was going to have a chance to move out of promotions into a different realm. And when I saw Stephen come in, taking Lou Will's place, and I don't know how old Lou was, but let's say 45.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to be 45 years old sitting in a lobby trying to get a record played. And so my whole intent always was to get into marketing. And that took a little bit longer than I thought. But because I had to put up promotions for 10 years. And that was because of the changes that were made within the company. I did get to serve under 10 presidents.
Wow.
And, you know, I didn't move around. You know, he kept following Michael Johnson. What desk are you clearing out now? Okay, I'll be over there. Leave some yeah. You know what? I never wanted to tie myself, because I knew that if that person went to another place and was not effective or whatever the politics may be, I was never into politics. And I will use the Step Johnson told me, he says, Michael White, why don't you go on over there with Ronnie Jones and be his national? I said, because I was here before you and Ronnie Jones, and I ain't going nowhere. And I mean, of course, you know, I had to leave at some point, but I mean, at that point in time, I preferred it. And what I was doing was actually holding Lionel Ridenhour back from taking my job. So then that's how I went in to be National Director of Sales. And when I finally took that job, Steph said, Michael White, I can't believe you took that job. I said, y'all never offered the right one.
Wow.
And that was it. And so that's how I got out of promotions, because the radio stations were shrinking. There was nobody here. I mean, you can't have no $100,000 a year job that not work nobody. I mean, the KBLX, KJLH,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then Seattle, Denver was going under. I mean, I saw the future. It wasn't that KDKO was gone, but it wasn't going to be there for long.
Mm-hmm.
And just all the different changes. And so I needed to get out of that. And that was my goal.
What was one of your favorite moments in the record business?
Oh, boy. I got probably 3 of them real
Okay.
quickly. One is Rochelle Farrell. Keith Thompson, Mike Horton, and myself, basically, were in favor of the one song with Will Downing on Rochelle Farrell. After we had released 2 songs, they were about ready to give up on the album, and the 3 of us actually were able to make things happen. Keith from the marketing aspect, myself from marketing, and Michael from promotions and budgets. And we broke that. Dave Cosby and the gold record. I mean, I changed that budget around. I was his marketing rep. And I changed that budget around to where we made a video that didn't get me fired that week. It didn't help with the whole composition. But that, and then when we did Portrait here in L.A. in the school system, working with Dion DeVoe. And in working and doing that, we were trying to break a record out of L.A. for one of the few times, because you don't usually break them out of L.A. And so what we did, we set it up that allowed them to start being played on the radio stations here early, and then we went back east.
Wow.
So those were just 3 quick moments I thought of, I can think of, and I believe in.
So what were some of your most favorite moments in the record business?
The Purple Rain Tour, Prince, Time, and Vanity 6. I was in charge of the promotion in the LA area. And I had the tickets for the Prince, Time, Vanity 6 concert in the LA area, which everybody wanted. And my phone rang off the hook. I was probably the most popular person. I probably could have ran for mayor of Los Angeles. I probably would have won, because I was the one with the Prince, Time, and Vanity 6 concert tickets. So I was in charge of giving the tickets to KGFJ and Cute and 1580 K-Day and KACE and KGLH, so they can give them to their listeners.
And most of those stations are not around.
Most of the stations, unfortunately, are no longer around. I would take care of the jocks and other people that worked at the radio stations, the retail stores, the clubs. But anyway, that was such a big moment in my life, to see the success that tour brought to the artists, and especially the appreciation I got from watching all the fans in the audience dressing up in camisoles, emulating Vanity 6, dressing up and wearing Stacey Adams shoes, emulating Morris Day, and you lose count of all the people dressed in purple and looking like Prince and had their hair processed and this, that, and the other. And I said, this is amazing, and I'll always remember that. I'll never forget that. That was a great time in my life.
It was a very magical time.
Yes, it was.
Now today, there's a annual picnic that happens.
Yes.
So, could you go to them, right?
Yes.
So tell about these annual picnics. I keep threatening to come, but
Oh.
You should go, Lydia.
I know every time it's happening, I'm out of town.
Okay.
But I hope to be there this year.
The genesis of it was we were showing up at everybody's funeral instead of dealing with everybody's life. And so we got tired of meeting down there on Crenshaw or La Brea. And we decided to bring it together like that. And so it's been a wonderful thing. I mean, because we've, from young to old, just seeing people that you haven't seen, and finding out about how they're doing, where they are. And you did have a lot of bonding relationships. I mean, I've had a relationship with you since 1980. So
Yes.
I don't know what it was.
Yeah,
you know,
82,
82,
81,
you know.
82.
So we're talking about 35, 36 years and things. And to not be able to see you, you know, because I'm always happy when I run into you. But the last time I ran into you,
The
was
last
at a
couple
funeral.
of times was at
Was at a
funerals.
funeral.
Yes.
And that's not the way we want it. So
Yeah.
that was the whole genesis
Yeah.
of being able to celebrate everybody's life while they're still living.
Right.
And you?
Yeah, that the Legends Foundation, Music Legends and Icons Picnic, I think that's the official name, happens every year, usually in the fall.
And that's part of the Living Legends Foundation,
Yes, it
the
is.
picnic? Okay.
Yeah, that's
okay.
why when we're having
Okay.
the dinner and
Yes.
So
Initially, it was just record label people, and then I think the second year we had radio station personnel come, and then it evolved to club people and record store people.
Oh, wow.
So the entire family
The whole family.
will all be there.
And we are a family.
We are family,
Yes.
yes indeed.
Yeah, and this is a way I get to celebrate you guys.
All right now.
To say these are some of the soldiers that brought the best music to the scene, because you guys were the foot soldiers. You guys were the ones on the front lines making it happen.
Yep.
You know, the consumer doesn't know all that goes on to making a
Right.
record,
Right.
and it doesn't just show up on your radio
Right.
dial or your Spotify or whatever. Somebody was pushing that forward.
Exactly.
You know.
well, I do want to make a point about today's world, because people say, "Oh, you don't need a record company." Well, you may not need the edifice, but you still need sales, promotions, marketing, publicity, all the things that a record company will do.
Yes.
The main thing about a record company is they got cash. Okay? But if you're not able to do those things, there's no reason out of the 9 million records on the internet, I should go look for yours.
Right.
What brings that attention?
Exactly.
And so no matter how you do it, as long as you're doing it with those effects, then you will be effectual. And that's my point.
What do you like about music today? We've been discussing back in the day, but what do you like about music today?
To be honest with you, I'm not as big of a fan of music today as I was back then. There are acts that are very good, and I enjoy hearing. Enjoy John Legend and others as well, but to me, it's just not the same. Radio today, unfortunately, you turn on a radio station and you hear the same 30 songs over and over again. The oldies that they will play are the same oldies. You really don't hear a variety of music. When I was promoting records, I think last time I counted, there's only maybe 5 people still on LA radio. That was in LA radio when I was promoting records.
Wow.
3 of them are at 94.7 The Wave, Lon McHugh at KGLH, up until recently Brad LeRae at 88.1 KJazz. But it's just not the same. Back then, when Michael and I were promoting records, there were 5 different stations in LA. Mm-hmm. And all 5 of those stations were a little bit different from each other.
And it was exciting.
It was very exciting. You could actually have KGLH play a record, and only KGLH would play that record, and it would be translated to major sales. Same thing with KGFJ, same thing with K-Day, same thing with Cute 102, same thing with the 103.9 KAs. Each station had its own niche. If you were lucky enough, if you were fortunate enough to get one of those records played on all 5 of those stations, you had a massive hit on your hands. Mm-hmm. And I really loved when a record was added to a radio station, hearing that record played on the radio for the very first time. Mm-hmm. Driving in a car, and all of a sudden you hear the song that you've been working so hard to get played on the radio actually being played on the radio, and that's a great feeling. Mm-hmm. I'm probably as happy as the artist who made the record, knowing that I can actually hear the song on the radio. That's the ultimate goal when you're in records, promoting records, to have it played on the radio, and of course have it sold in the stores.
And I'll never forget how one of our guys used to always love hearing his record at the top of the hour. Okay, that was the key to it, because that introduced the show coming right out of the break, and boom, and it's just so amazing. But in regards to your question, we know music history very well, which is what upsets me about today's generation, about everything. But the thing is that we weren't playing Count Basie music, or the Ink Spots. And we love the Temptations and, Gladys Knight and the Pips, whatever. And the music has, not sure about evolved, but it's changed. Mm-hmm. But it changes for each generation. Mm-hmm. So I like their music, but I will never be able to judge it, because they don't want to listen to their daddy's music. And so whatever they're doing, but they still use our bass lines, mm-hmm. or our song bed, without even knowing where it came from.
Exactly.
Okay. So there are all kind of things. It's not a straight departure, because Bruno Mars is
R&B.
Yeah, but he comes from a long tradition of the Michael Jacksons and whomever else.
Prince. Mm-hmm. The time.
He brings history.
Yes, he does.
His music he's carrying history forward. He's modernized it, but he really is bringing the history.
Mm-hmm. So. What's Take Six Brothers name?
Brian McKnight.
Brian McKnight.
Yeah. Okay, John Legend is this generation's Brian McKnight. Yes. So I see the comparisons, and there's not much difference. In overall.
Yeah.
You take rap, but rap's been around for 40 years. So it's part of my generation too.
Yes. Any last words, fellas?
Just the fact that I'm happy to be sitting here with you.
Amen.
And you know what? Campfield, he is so funny. You have to read his Facebook page, everybody.
Oh.
Yes.
Because he will keep you laughing and remembering.
And we will have that down on the bottom of the page. So just scroll down and you can check out Stephen Campfield every week on Facebook.
Well, thank you, Lydia. Thank you, Michael.
Yes. Shameless plug.
Yeah, very shameless. Very, very shameless.
Yes.